Hi everybody, here we are on this next page. If you've gotten this far, give yourself a huge star. Even if you have gotten things wrong, I'm super proud of you for having done all this great work. And make sure that you are messaging me to let me know what you're doing, because I'm definitely eager to hear about all of you guys, and even just tell me how everything is going in general. But if you're ready for the answers, here we go. So these questions are having to do with mixed numbers again. If you're confused about this or you're stressed about it, skip this page altogether and you can come back to this video later. Next week in our next packet, we're going to be working more on mixed numbers, and hopefully it will become clear as you get a little more practice. Okay, so here's the question. Susan and Maria need 8 3/8 feet of ribbon to package gift baskets. So a gift basket is when you give somebody like a little package and you put lots of different things in it, and then you might put a ribbon like on top. And we know a foot is, it's 12 inches. So your paper is 11 inches. And so if you add like an inch to your paper, that would be about 12 inches. So they need 8 3/8 feet. That's a lot. That's like taller than any person. Okay. 8 3/8 feet of ribbon to package gift baskets. Susan has 3 1/8 feet of ribbon, and Maria has 5 3/8 feet of ribbon. How much ribbon do they have altogether? Explain your work with words, numbers, and or pictures. And then B, so there's two parts here. We want to make sure that you have two answers to this question. Do they have enough ribbon to complete their project? Why or why not? So I'm going to actually cut my paper into two parts because there's two different sections here. And I'm going to write two separate solution sentences. They have blank, some amount of ribbon. Actually, I should say feet of ribbon. Because that's my unit. It's not 8 3/8 miles or 8 3/8 inches, it's feet. So that was my mistake to leave that out in the first place. All together. And then over here, this one is going to be like a writing answer. And it doesn't say, it doesn't tell you to explain your work or anything. But also we know we're going to get an amount here. And we're just going to have to decide if they have enough ribbon or not. So I won't write my solution sentence because it'll sound like either they do or they don't have enough ribbon. And then I'll have to explain why. Okay. To actually answer this question, I need a blank piece of paper because I don't think there's enough space on the paper here. So I'm going to flip over to this. This is actually the back of another one of your packets. You can use that space, or if you have a notebook, you're certainly welcome to use that. So we're wondering if they have 8 3/8 feet of ribbon. And if we're asking how much they have all together, the equation would sound like 5 3/8 plus 3 1/8. So let's try to, is equal to R, the total amount of ribbon. Okay, so let's try to add that up. 5 3/8 plus 1, what did I say? Plus 3 1/8. So some of you might actually notice right away, if I had 5 holes plus 3 holes, that's 8 holes. And then I already have 3/8 here. I need 8 3/8, so you might be able to notice right away that I actually have enough. But if you want to solve it exactly, we can do that too. And I can split this up so that I'm adding the whole number separately and the fraction separately. And that's because this whole number, I could actually represent that as 5 plus 3/8. When I say 5 3/8, what I'm really saying is I'm adding those two amounts together. Plus 3 1/8. And then in addition, I can mix around the order of, plus 3 plus 1/8. I can mix around the number of my add-ons, or the order. I cannot do that in subtraction or division. No. But in addition, if I'm just adding all of these three things, it doesn't matter what order I do it in. So let's do 5 plus 3 plus 3/8 plus 1/8. And I can probably do this without a number line or a model or anything, because we have the same denominators, so it's actually pretty simple. So 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 3/8 plus 1/8. I'm going to do this part next, even though that's kind of breaking the order of operations, but again, because it's addition, I'm allowed to. 3/8 plus 1/8 is 4/8. And then I have 8 plus 4/8 is just equal to 8 and 4/8. So if I fill that back in over here, 8 and 4/8. You might notice that 4/8 is the same as 1/2, so they have 8 1/2 theta ribbon. And then over here, if they have 8 and 4/8, which is the same as 8 and 1/2, then I say yes, they have enough. For this one, I want you to fill in the rest of the sentence and comment to me on the classroom or send me a message. Because, so you can just finish that sentence. How do you know they have enough? And of course you might reference the total, but you also might reference the logic of how much you knew it was going to be before we even added. All right, next problem. A builder plans to build 7 houses. Each house will be built on 5/6 of an acre. An acre is a space of land, so it's about a half of a football field. As a result, the 7 houses will need a total of 5 5/6 acres of land. Okay, so they're not asking us to do any math with these numbers here. They're just telling us that these 7 houses are going to need that much land. The builder began with 10 acres of land. After these 7 houses are built, how much land will be left unused? Show your work. So it's a word problem. We're going to go through our regular old process. There will be blank. Acres left unused. Now try to think of what will the equation be for this problem. Before we start solving it, we got to make sure we're doing the right thing. And hopefully you are thinking the operation here is a difference question. How much is left? What's the difference between 5 and 5/6 and the 10 that he started with? So that's subtraction. 10 minus 10 acres minus the 5 and 5/6 that he used is equal to L, and say for land. Or you could do any letter that you want. I'm going to make a quick estimate. So 10, I can just leave as 10. 5 and 5/6 is really close to what? Hopefully you're thinking 6. So my estimate is 4. And I'm hoping my answer will be close to 4. Okay. So now it's time to subtract. We can do this in a few different ways, but since we've been looking at, since we've been looking at adding up, I'm going to do it that way. So I'll get my number line out. I know that if I am looking for a difference, I want to know what's the distance between 5 and 5/6 and 10. And one way to do that would be to jump back, but then I wouldn't mark the 5 and 5/6. But the other way is just to say, what's this space and how much do I need to add to get from 5 and 5/6 to 10? And we did that in the very beginning of the year with whole number subtraction, and it still works with fractions. So first we'll add to get to a friendly number. I can add any number, but you might think, and I certainly think, that the easiest thing is to get to a whole. So if I add 1/6 to 5 and 5/6, I get 6. Great. Now how much do I need to add to get to 10? 4. Notice I'm not making all of the little tick marks. It doesn't matter if it's perfectly partitioned I don't really need to see all those numbers between 6 and 10. I know what they are. I know where they would go. All I need to know is this difference. So I actually do not need to mark out perfectly where all of those numbers are. I did that on this problem a couple of days ago to try to illustrate this whole number line and make sure that we're seeing where all these numbers are. But it's not necessary. When you're adding up, you actually just need to know, where are we? You just need to know how much you've added all together. So then my answer, the amount that I've added up, is 4 1/6. And we could rewrite this equation to actually match my number line better too. So 5 5/6 plus some amount L gets me to 10. And that amount that we just added is 4 1/6. So I'll put that in my answer and I'll read it and see if it makes sense. There will be 4 1/6 acres left unused. Well, I have my equation and I'm confident that that's the right thing, so I'll give that a star. I have my solution sentence. My estimate is here. I'll give that a little triangle. And my answer is very close to my estimate, and it makes sense. If I have 5 5/6 used and 4 1/6 left unused, that seems like it would be about 10 altogether. So I give it a smiley, and you're all done. Nice job. Keep up the amazing work, everyone.